We'll start with Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. 17. The concentration called right knowledge is that which is followed by reasoning, discrimination, bliss, and unqualified ego. ये समझने को थोड़ा टाइम लगता है. I think
नहीं,
just
I
have to
mean,
go
but
through.
it's essential to know,
Right.
useful, because we are all doing, we are all senior, lot of experience we have got. So we have passed through these, practically we have passed through these experiences. So we have to recognize it actually.
So here is referring concentration world as samadhi.
Yeah, samadhi, yeah.
Okay. So this samadhi is divided into two varieties. One is called sampradnyata and the other is asampradnyata. The asampradnyata is of four varieties. In this samadhi come all the powers of controlling nature. The first variety is called savitarka. When the mind meditates upon an object again and again by isolating it from other objects. There are two sorts of objects for meditation, the categories of nature and the Purusha. Again, the categories are of two varieties. The 24 categories are insentient and one sentient is the Purusha. When the mind thinks of elements of nature by thinking of their beginning and their end, this is one sort of savitarka. The words require explanation. This part of yoga is based entirely on Sankhya philosophy, about which I have already told you. As you will remember, egoism and will and mind have a common basis. And that common basis is called chitta, the mind stuff, out of which they are all manufactured. This mind stuff takes in the forces of nature and projects them as thought. There must be something, again, where both force and matter are one. This is called avyaktam, the unmanifested state of nature before creation, and to which, after the end of a cycle, the whole of nature returns to again come out of after another period. Beyond that is Purusha, the essence of intelligence. There is no liberation in getting powers. It is a worldly search after enjoyment in this life. All search for enjoyment is vain. This is the old lesson which man finds it so hard to learn.
1 minute, Prasad. There is a discrepancy between the book which is there. Some things are missing in this
version.
Yeah. So I will read actually because some things are missing.
Can you confirm the book name Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda?
You go to Ramakrishna Mission, there the entire book is there.
So continuing further, there is no liberation in getting powers. It is worldly search after enjoyment in this life. All search for enjoyment is vain. This is the old lesson which man finds it so hard to learn. When he does learn it, he gets out of the universe and becomes free. The possession of what are called occult powers is only intensifying the world and in the end intensifying suffering. Though as a scientist, Patanjali is bound to point out the possibilities of this science, he never misses an opportunity to warn us against these powers. Knowledge is power, and as soon as we begin to know a thing, we get power over it. So also, when the mind begins to meditate on the different elements, it gains power over them. That sort of meditation, Where the external gross elements are the objects is called Savitarka. Tarka means question. Savitarka with question. Questioning the elements as it were, that they may give up their truths and their powers to the man who meditates upon them. Again, in the very same meditation, when one struggles to take the elements out of time and space and think of them as they are, it is called nirvitarka, without question. When the meditation goes a step higher and takes the tanmatras as its object and thinks of them as in time and space, it is called savichara, with discrimination. And when the same meditation gets beyond time and space and thinks of the fine elements as they are, it is called nirvichara, without discrimination. The next step is when the elements are given up, either as gross or as fine, and the object of meditation is the interior organ, the thinking organ. And when the thinking organ is thought of as bereft of the qualities of activity and of dullness, it is then called sanandam, the blissful samadhi. In that samadhi, when we are thinking of the mind as the object of meditation, before we have reached the state which takes us beyond the mind, even when it has become very ripe and concentrated, when all ideas of the gross materials or fine materials have been given up, and the only object is the mind as it is. When the sattva state only of the ego remains, but differentiated from all other objects, this is called asmita samadhi. And the man who has attained to this has attained to what is called the Vedas bereft of body. He can think of himself as without his gross body, but he will have to think of himself as with the fine body. Those that in this state get merged in nature without attaining the goal are called prakriti layas. But those who do not even stop at any enjoyments reach the goal, which is freedom. I'll take a pause here.
Yeah. Actually, there are detailed commentaries people can go through. They're useful because we go through these stages. But here, Babuji's system is like when the trainer goes into the condition of universal consciousness or Brahmanda consciousness, and he transmits that mental state to the Abhyasi. We give in stages of progress, the trainer gives a dip to the Abhyasi of the in the Brahmanda consciousness. That means there itself in Brahmanda consciousness means you're beyond the matter, that means the Nama Rupa you're transcended. So when that consciousness experience that covers all this Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara and Nirvichara also. I mean, the mind becomes absolutely quiet actually. So Baba, he does not give importance to all these things. He gives most importance to Sahaja Samadhi. He gives important, like he talks about three kinds of samadhis in efficacy of Raj Yoga in the central region. He talks. I mean, um, he is giving more importance to Sahaja Samadhi, which is not discussed in Patanjali Yoga Sutras at all. Patanjali Yoga Sutra talks about asamprajnata samadhi. That means the subject itself is not there. That means the meditating consciousness merges with the object of meditation, and then that means uh, uh, it Virama Pratyaya uses. Pratyaya is any object of meditation, the divine light, or suppose in Savitarka Samadhi, then you question the elements. That means our physical body is made up of all the five elements. So you try to concentrate on the five elements. Then that leads to what is called Savitarka Samadhi. And then the next stage is Nirvitarka Samadhi. That means you concentrate on the elements, the earth, water, fire element, which is present in the body. You take all the five combination of all the elements and treat it as one element, and then you remove the name and your knowledge about these elements. Then it becomes Nirvitarka Samadhi. But then again, what are called tan mantras you meditate. You meditate, tan mantras are sound, taste, rupa, the touch, and then, hearing. So there also, if you remove the time and space, then you realize that there is a thing called everything is eternal. They are not only present when you are meditating, they have been always been present right from the inception of time itself, or whatever. Eternally they have been present. So that knowledge comes to you when you remove time and space from the tan mantras. Actually, that's a very high meditation. By the time mind becomes absolutely still, chittavritti nirodha happens. But there is Patanjali talks about virama pratyaya. That means you meditate on nothingness. That means virama is rest from the pratyaya is any object on which you're paying attention. Our divine light without luminosity comes very close to that kind of a meditation. Actually, Babuji is giving us the highest object to meditate upon, the ultimate itself. I mean, there which leads to, when it leads to samadhi, and then the samadhi, Babuji says, passes through these 13 knots. So at different stages, you'll have different states of samadhi. And then final stage, you will have what is called, he says, Sahaja Samadhi, which he talks. He says, he gives the example of a person in sleep, and when a mosquito bites, he will automatically squat, hit at the mosquito. And when he gets up from the sleep, he's not even aware that a mosquito has bitten on this thing. So no impression forms. And that means you are functioning normally like any normal individual in the world, but it is as if you have been functioning like as if in a dream or in a sleep or whatever it is. It makes no impression on that. That is the thing which Babuji is trying to, he says that is the goal actually. And if you read Dr. KCV's commentary, his lectures and all that, he says disciples of Sahaj very easily, all of us easily achieve the state of Sahaja Samadhi, he talks. You can pick up what Dr. KCV has mentioned about this. He says very easily is achieved with the support of Pranahuti and all.
So here, in this various stages or other various levels of samadhi explained here, our goal is last one, which is freedom, right?
No, asampragyata samadhi only. Actually, but asampragyata samadhi, most people have achieved in our place, because I get reports that people, sir, 1 hour has passed. It was like 5 minutes. I was not conscious of body and all that. So that means the awareness of the meditative subject itself has merged into infinity actually. So that's actually it's a very extremely high achievement as per Patanjali, but that is getting
Very
just
good.
like that in Babuji's system because of the pranahuti.
Here towards end it says, in this state gets merged in nature without attaining the goal.
That means if they don't have the idea, the ultimate goal of absolute, immaterial absolute, that Babuji talks about, or the Kshobh, but then if the goal is not in their mind, they become what is called Prakriti Layas. That means they still not have awareness of the nature of Purusha or the Kshobh or the Tam or the Brahman. Idea is not there for them. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go next.
Okay.
This is a very subtle topic. People have to read and understand. If there are any doubts, whatever I am capable of explaining, I can explain.
Okay.
I have read all the commentaries of this Patanjali Sutras. I have read several times. I have contemplated also. But I am practicing under Babuji's system, so I know the differences actually. Okay.
Okay. I'll read further.
Yeah.
18. There is another samadhi which is attained by the constant practice of cessation of all mental activity, in
So
which
actually, Prasad, there is a Sanskrit I will read actually. The 18, Virama Pratyaya Abhyasapurva Sanskara Bhyonya, it's Shunya, it's written, the Sanskrit word. Virama Pratyaya. Yeah, you can read it.
yeah, that is basically practice of cessation.
Yeah, you can read now.
Okay. There is another samadhi which is attained by the constant practice of cessation of all mental activity, in which the chitta retains only the unmanifested impressions. This is the perfect superconscious asampradnyata samadhi, the state which gives us freedom. The first state does not give us freedom, does not liberate the soul. A man may attain to all powers and yet fall again. There is no safeguard until the soul goes beyond nature and beyond conscious concentration. It is very difficult to attain, although its method seems very easy. Its method is to hold the mind as the object, and whenever thought comes, to strike it down.
Whenever thought comes.
Okay, there is a spelling error in the book. So, whenever thought comes, to strike it down, allowing no thought to come into the mind, thus making it an entire vacuum. When we can really do this, in that moment we shall attain liberation. When persons without training and preparation try to make their minds vacant, they are likely to succeed only in covering themselves with tamas, which is material of ignorance, which makes the mind dull and stupid and leads them to think that they are making a vacuum of the mind. To be able to really do that is a manifestation of the greatest strength of the highest control. When this state, asampradnata, superconsciousness, is reached, the samadhi becomes seedless. What is meant by that? In that sort of concentration, when there is consciousness where the mind has succeeded only in quelling the waves in the chitta and holding them down, they are still there in the form of tendencies. And these tendencies or seeds will become waves again when the time comes. But when you have destroyed all these tendencies, almost destroyed the mind, then it has become seedless. There are no more seeds in the mind out of which to manufacture again and again this plant of life, this ceaseless round of birth and death. You may ask, what state would that be? In which we should have no knowledge. What we call knowledge is a lower state than the one beyond knowledge. You must always bear in mind that the extremes look very much the same. The low vibration of light is darkness, And the very high vibration of light is darkness also. But one is real darkness and other is really intense light. Yet their appearance is the same. So ignorance is the lowest state, knowledge is the middle state, and beyond knowledge is still higher state. Knowledge itself is a manufactured something, combination. It is not reality. What will be the result of constant practice of this higher concentration? All old tendencies of restlessness and dullness will be destroyed, as well as the tendencies of goodness too. It is just the same as with the metals that are used with gold to take off the dirt and alloy. When the ore is smelted down, the dross is burnt along with the alloy. So, this constant controlling power will stop the previous bad tendencies and eventually the good ones also. Those good and evil tendencies will suppress each other, and there will remain the soul in all its glorious splendor, untrammeled by either good or bad, and that soul is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. By giving up all powers, it has become omnipotent. By giving up all life, it is beyond mortality. It has become life itself. Then the soul will know it neither had birth nor death, neither want of heaven nor of earth. It will know that it neither came nor went. It was nature which was moving, and that movement was reflected upon the soul. The form of light is moving. It is reflected and cast by the camera upon the wall, and the wall foolishly thinks it is moving. So, with all of us, it is the chitta constantly moving, manipulating itself into various forms, and we think that we are these various forms. All these delusions will vanish. When that free soul will command, not pray or beg, but command, then whatever it desires will be immediately fulfilled. Whatever it wants, it will be able to do so. According to Sankhya philosophy, there is no God. It says that there cannot be any God of this universe because if there were, he must be a soul. And a soul must be one of the two things, either bound or free. How can the soul that is bound by nature or controlled by nature create? It is itself a slave. On the other hand, what business has the soul with it that is free to create and manipulate all these things? It has no desires, so cannot have any need to create. Secondly, it says the theory of God is an unnecessary one. Nature explains all. What is the use of any God? But Kapila teaches that there are many souls who, through nearly attaining perfection, fall short because they cannot perfectly renounce all powers. Their minds, for a time, merge in nature to re emerge as its masters. We shall all become such gods, and according to Sankhyas, the God spoken of in the Vedas really means one of these free souls. Beyond them, there is not an eternally free and blessed creator of the universe. On the other hand, the yogis say, not so, there is a God. There is one soul separate from all other souls, and he is the eternal master of all creation, the ever free, the teacher of all teachers. The yogis admit that those the Sankhya called merged in nature also exist. They are yogis who have fallen short of perfection, and though for a time debarred from attaining the goal, remains as rulers of the parts of the universe.
Okay. Lengthy commentary.
So, sir, these yogis are basically who are under the instructions of Babuji Maharaj now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what Babuji says.
Mm.
I mean, he doesn't talk about himself. He says there is in 1945, there is a personality came into existence,
Mm.
and saints of very high caliber are working under the direct instructions of this person, and
Mm.
still more souls are being prepared who will work for the transformation of this world.
Mm.
That's what is written in Efficacy of Rajayoga.
Yeah.
So there will be what is called Mahaparishad or Parishad
Mm.
who allots probably the various works and whatever.
Mm.
The earlier what happened before Babuji came into the picture, earlier all what Sir told me and what I could gather from the literature was that the all people who wanted to have knowledge about Brahman and all, they had to go through a link of the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad actually. So then this responsibility was shifted by nature back to Babuji Maharaj. And then if you see the first message which is given after he started the mission, he says all the earlier links have been broken now, and only this link is working. So consciously, unconsciously, anybody in the world want to realize God, they have to necessarily link up with the present power, which is the Supreme Personality, Sri Ramchandraji Maharaj. So that
Mm.
is, he has actually explicitly written, but um, uh, you can read, you will understand if you go to
Yeah.
the autobiography. Only
Yes. Yes.
1.5 year of autobiography only contains all this. Afterwards, there are no further revelations coming to him. Whatever the 3 volumes is written, it covers only 1.5 years only. Something
Mm.
between 44 to 46, that's all. But we are not concerned about,
No.
we are
Mhm.
concerned whether you have become a master of your mind or not, whether you are still a slave of habits or not, whether you are still subject to some anxiety, worry, or fear, whatever it is, some subtle degree of unhappiness is there, means you are still not having freedom. So whether you achieve that freedom or not, you can easily know. I mean, whether you're troubled by events in the world, troubled by events happening to you, or whatever. I mean, you're part of when you wake up from the world, you interact with nature, and if you achieved a balanced state, you will not give any pain and suffering to anybody in this world. And the
Mm.
world also, including all the people, physical nature, all the Adibhautika, they will not be able to disturb or make you, you're not troubled by world at all. However subtle the trouble may be, even mild unhappiness is there, that is also a misery actually.
Mm.
Mild unease or discomfort or, discontentment is there, that is a kind of a trouble. Suppose even politically, suppose a geopolitical event is happening, you wish that this should happen favorably towards India, and if that wish is not fulfilled, a kind of unease is felt. Even that unease is taken as a lack of freedom. Actually. So yoga promises complete freedom. So you have to watch yourself whether you are moving in that direction of freedom or not. Unconditional freedom, sukha dukkha samekritva. The yogi, if you read chapter 6 of uh, Bhagavad Gita, all the qualities which are there, they are mentioned there. I mean, yogi will treat the earth and iron or gold equally with the same this thing. He doesn't give value to that and all that. Like Babuji, one of the letters to an Abhyasi, he says, I was in such a state, he says, I felt that eating the leftovers of a dog's food also was okay for me, though I didn't have the But then my state of mind was like that. He was feeling, that kind of you just get an idea of what it is.
Mm.
So basically, a kind of equanimity. I mean, your mind is not, doesn't get destabilized with praise or blame, actually, or sadness and joy. You transcend that sort of equanimity. Life becomes plain and simple, as in fourth commandment, he says, you be plain and simple to be in tune with nature. You get merged with nature and you become part and parcel of it. Even if any disease comes, as a human condition, human body is uh, 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 under the influence of these certain laws. I mean, the law of second law of thermodynamics comes, so it gets diseased and it disintegrates. But then that still will not disturb your balance.
Mm.
That is a normal human condition. So human condition, you know it very well, and then but that does not disturb you. So, but if you do meditation with a clear goal in mind, then all these things become possible. What shall we do? We'll go next one. We'll read. The others are very small ones.
Mm.
One or two we'll read.
Okay.
So here the question should arise. There is what is called Sanchita Karma. Here we did a seminar. Sir has did a seminar where Bij the concept
Mm.
was the seed at the bottom gets fried up, he says, in one of the messages, and we did a seminar on that. So what do you understand by that? Here he also says seeds are
Needless.
the samskaras, they remain as seeds. Potentially they'll come up whenever you relax your effort, actually. So till that the beach that happens, real freedom will not come. The question arises like karmic theory. So whatever action you do, you have to face the consequences of the action. So, but the actions have been done through several lives. So several lives. So all those actions form what is called Sanchita Karma. Out of that Sanchita Karma, only a few samskaras are allotted to this particular life. So that is called Prarabdha Karma. So when yoga claims that you will not have rebirth, what will happen to the samskaras of Sanchita Karma? So that question should arise in anybody who is seriously thinking or practicing yoga, actually. If you understand Bij Dag, then you will understand, because Bij Dag means actually when the ego is totally washed out from your consciousness, you no more feel that you're a separate individual from God. You feel in harmony with God. You feel that there is no difference between your will and God's will. There is a complete mergence in God. At that time, ego is not there. When ego is not there, Bij Dag has happened. That means all the earlier samskaras, they come into fruition only if ego is present. If ego is not there, they are just like, burnt up seeds. They will not grow again. It is just like Osho has written a very interesting about this. He says, like suppose a person commits a murder and then he faces a trial, and then the prosecution uh, comes up with a lot of evidence, and then a judgment is declared that the person is culpable of that homicide, and then he should be punished by hanging to death. That is the punishment given. And then the state apparatus will try to execute those orders. So he'll go to the house of that accused person, and then they try to serve the summons that he should be taken to the jail for hanging. So then he knocks at the door of that person and says, "We have come to arrest this person, so and so." The people say that this person, where will you do it? He has already died 1 week before. So that the judgment of hanging by death becomes irrelevant because he is already dead. So when the ego is dead, the samskaras, they just fall flat. They have got no, it's just like the seeds which are burnt, they'll not grow up again. So as long as ego is there, a person is susceptible to suffering actually. There's no question about it.
Sir, one thing which I heard is about ego is that as long as we have physical body, it's very there is very small ego which is left over.
No, this question I think I've answered several times when Babuji also talks in the centenary celebration. He talks how the voice real comes, or how communication happens. Communication happens when he uses the word faculties for the Manasu, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. And all the four faculties are purified. Then you get intercommunication with that. I mean, you intercommunication with God itself directly. It forms. So, what is the state of mind when all these faculties are balanced? So, suppose Manasu is purified when you do cleaning process, when you meditate, the mind gets purified day by day. It becomes more and more purified, and the faculty of Manasu is feeling faculty. It gets attached with beautiful things. It gets aversion to ugly things and all that. Attachment is a quality of Manasu. That is one function of the Chitta actually. So when it gets attached to God, then you can say that the faculty of Manasu is purified. And then Buddhi, intellect. When the intellect is also so purified, it will only function to explain the nature of God and the grandeur of God. Whenever it is talking, it will only talk about how beautiful or how advantageous it is to think or meditate about God. It will be only talking that only. Then you can say the intellect is purified to that extent. And Chitta is when when your cleaning has been totally done, and when all the past samskaras are washed out. That's what Babuji has said. If there are any samskaras, even in your dream also, you'll not have a glimpse of the beloved, he says. You'll never get even a glimpse of God, even in your dream, if any samskara or impurity is there in the Chitta actually. So cleaning, that's why he gives so much of importance to cleaning. And then coming to Ahankara, the purified state of Ahankara is you will have a very faint idea of you being an instrument of God. All of us now know, even by intellectual analysis, we know that we are dependent on God. Like suppose if I stop breathing, I have no freedom to stop breathing also. The CO2 pressure rises and it stimulates the respiratory organ. It will force me to take breath. I have no freedom to that. So that means we know that we are not free. So some force is making us live, actually making us function. So by logical analysis, we know that we are not independent. We are dependent on some universal force actually. So this is called, but the awareness, very faint awareness that you are an instrument of God will be there. That is a purified ego. That ego will remain as long as you live in the physical body. Okay. It is practically amounts to almost not having any ego at all, because you behave like a small child who is not aware of his, whether he's male or female, he's a friend, he's my religion, my car, all those things will not be in small infants for 1 year, 6 months and all. They don't have. You have all those childlike qualities actually. We all saw those qualities in Babuji. He was, so in that sense, is there. I hope.
Yes. Yeah. Very clear. So will we read next?
Yeah, we'll read a small thing. So we'll just finish.
Okay. So 19. This samadhi, when not followed by extreme non-attachment, becomes the cause of the remanifestation of the gods and of those that become merged in the nature. The gods in the Indian systems represent certain high offices which are being filled successively by various souls. but none of them is perfect.
Like Babuji talks about Vasus and, the uh, all those functionaries of nature. Uh,
Those.
Even this Varuna, Agni, Deva, all these things, they say that these jobs are given to various advanced souls as and when. But that is a kind of a slavery actually. You will not have the bliss of being in the company of God. You have to do the allotted job. So it's a kind of a bonded labor only. So that's why
Hmm.
Babaji also says, God's, we have more opportunity to
Oh,
evolve further in the spiritual evolution than God's. God's functions are limited. That's what you must have read in his literature actually.
yes.
He is reiterating the same idea actually.
Okay. The next one, 20. The others, this samadhi comes through faith, energy, memory, concentration, and discrimination of the real.
This is a very significant sutra actually. This extensive commentaries have been written about it, and Buddhism they give extraordinary importance. I mean, it's straight. There is no difference between this sutra and what Buddhism talks about. They all evolved during the same time in the 500, 600 BC's this thing. So, like, suppose if you're not achieved samadhi, how to achieve samadhi? He says faith. Faith is Shraddha. That means you now have trust in Babuji and you think that divine light is there. On his trust, you start practice. And when you start practice, then your mind becomes calm actually. And then your mind gets energized by the divine force coming or by the pranahuti coming. And you are inclined to not miss the meditation. You want to do meditation again and again because that's the energy which comes. You become regular in meditation because of the energy is born, it arises out of you. That's why meditation, Babaji says, is the highest form of tapas. Tapas is when the thought, instead of going downwards, starts moving upwards towards the goal. And when it starts moving upwards, heat is generated. You can find yourself when you're meditating, there is some heat generated. Even if you're a very chilly person, when you're meditating, you would like to have fan and all that because there is a physical heat also generated. That's called tapas. So that's the energy. And then the third factor is, so when you meditate regularly, then you start developing what is called constant remembrance. You constantly try to think about the goal and then try to keep the goal in view. You will what Babuji said. You ponder about. You attempt the finite for the infinite. You will be doing your job, but then you will be thinking that if I do this job properly and dedicate this job to the master, so your attention is on the goal, but you're doing the job. So that's a kind of memory. Memory means here it's a constant remembrance. You repeatedly keep the view of your goal constantly in your view. And concentration is samadhi. Samadhi also helps you for the mind to get evolved. And discrimination is the prajna or wisdom. Babaji talks, several grains of it, one grain of wisdom and all. Wisdom is prajna. You know what is truth and what is untruth. And once you know that, ignorance just like when the light comes, darkness goes away. When wisdom comes, you'll be behaving in a righteous fashion naturally. Actually. So these things come with, they can be developed independently also. The Buddhist talks about, like the commentator, the Vyasa who gives commentary, he gives a very interesting definition about faith. He says, uh, I really liked his idea. He says, faith is a pleasant, wishful contact with the object of meditation, he says. Like when you're thinking about Babuji or the presence of divine consciousness in your heart, you want to have a pleasant, wishful contact with that object of meditation. So that means a feeling of love should be there towards that. And that he gives it as a faith, actually. It's a very interesting way of putting this thing. Vyasa talks like that. Okay, we'll stop here next
Okay.
because I request readers to go through this sutra again through the several commentators. Edwin Bryant is there. He's a very good commentator. His book is there. And then Vyasa's commentary is there. They're freely available on the internet. So at least you will become more sincere in your practice. Because Babuji has just mentions it like that, love and devotion, he just leaves it there. But then unless you truly understand, we feel that we understood the language, but that's a very superficial way. We don't go into the depth of it. We really don't feel what the feeling behind which led to the development of this language, and then the development of communication of that feeling state of a yogi to us is we feel that we understood, but it's not so easy. Unless you start contemplating very deeply, you'll not understand.
Yes, sir.